Hello my friends and welcome back to another episode of Flutter Explained. Today we want to take a look on how we can install Flutter on a Windows 11 machine. With that, let's get into the video. So first of all, we will have a look how we can install everything via Git and get everything done there. Then we want to download everything that we need, like Flutter itself, and set up the environment variables in Windows 11. After that, we want to have a look on how we can install Android Studio, what we need to do install with SDK Manager, with AVD Manager, so that we can start up an Android device. After that, we also take a look into installing Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code, and with that we can set up everything that Flutter can install on Windows 11 with a real application for Windows 11. And now, without further ado, let's get started. And because my little computer down here, which survived for me the last 3 years, is not capable of running Windows 11 because of the CPU problems, I was asking Markt Saturn, the company of Markt, if they could possibly send me a device, and well, they did. And thanks to them, I am able now to create this video. So check out their job description that you can find down in the video descriptions below. Alright, so welcome to this fresh installed Windows 11 instance. As you can see, nothing is on this computer. So if I'm opening up PowerShell and execute Flutter or Git, you can see nothing is installed. We get the term is not recognized. Usually this means that a system variable is not there. But in our case, it's completely off. Nothing is installed. So let's head over, and I prepared already something. 2 websites we need. The Git SCM website, which provides us with Git. There we can download the Windows client for Git. You will find the link down in the video description. And the Flutter website, where we have the Windows. If you go up to Get Started, then you find here Windows, and underneath of it you find the system requirements. I'm pretty sure you match them, but then you have 2 options to install Flutter. One is by downloading this Flutter Windows zip file and unpack it somewhere, but we want to do it professional, so we use Git for that. So the first step that we will do is installing Git. So how can we do that? We click here on the link, and with this click on the link we should download now Git. And if we have downloaded it, we are directly started. And now the installation process happens, and you know how the drill. You click next until everything is installed. We see us after that step. Great, so we have now installed Git on our machine. So if we open up PowerShell and we go into a PowerShell and execute Git once more, oh, something doesn't work. So let's close up all the PowerShells. That's very important to close them all off. And now if we open up PowerShell again and enter Git, you can see it works now. The reason for that is that the installer of Windows Git is automatically taking care of the system variables. Perfect, but Flutter, still not there. Okay, now we search for a path where we want to install Flutter. In our case, this is the good old dev folder that I created directly underneath of C, which should be now installed with Git. So if we check that environment, there should be nothing but Git. Perfect. So we clear our terminal, and now we want to install Flutter in this directory. So for that, we switch off to the Windows install part, and now we select Git to stable. So you select just that behind the step which says clone and stable. If you have never used Git before, maybe the tutorial where I have used it and explain how Git works is useful for you. But in the meantime, we can now just pass that in. And with that, we execute that. And we clone now Flutter. That means we download the folders from Git into our system. And with that, we have it installed, and we will see us in the next step where we set the system variables. Great, now we have installed Flutter. And if we check the folder again, we see that Flutter is installed. But now if we execute Flutter, nothing works. And even if I restart now everything and go back to the PowerShell, execute Flutter again, it still doesn't work. Reason for that is that Windows system variables. And what that is, if we search for environment variables, we find these settings here. Edit the system environment variables. If we open that up and go down here to environment variables, you see, for example, the path here. And what happens here, you can see Git is also part of it. This allows all the terminals on Windows to execute these commands inside of these folders. So that means we have to somehow find the path to our Flutter application. So we go to dev, search for Flutter, and inside of here we have the bin folder. And as you can see, we have Dart and Flutter files here inside. So if we copy that now over and bring that into our system environment variables, where we press new and add them, now our terminal has the chance to directly access this Flutter from here. So let's try that. We open up a new PowerShell. That is important. Always restart your PowerShells whenever you have set up something in the environment variables. And after that, we can execute Flutter. Great stuff, works. And it downloads automatically Dart for us. Fantastic. So it gets the whole engine, everything works after that, and we are ready to go. Why do we install it via Git? There is a reason for it, because now we have the option to switch between the channels. And that helps us if we want to maybe go to the master channel and try to work directly with the newest stuff Flutter provides to us. There is also a dev channel that I could recommend you, which is a little bit more stable than the master channel. Okay, but we let that run. And after that, we will be back and we talk how we can go further from here. All right, let's say you had a problem with installing Flutter in any case. So for example, you couldn't set up the environment variables on your machine. There's one option that is Chocolatey, which is a package manager for Windows, which allows you to install directly packages. So for that, we will just execute this method here in your PowerShell, which has to be now an administrative PowerShell. So we go to PowerShell again and call run as administrator, because we want to install something. Now it will ask you a lot of permissions. And if we execute this now, it will install Chocolatey on your machine. So you see it downloads something, it installs Chocolatey on your machine, tells you a lot of things. And now what we can do is call Choco in your command line, and it will explain you that it is installed. Now we want to install Flutter, so Choco install Flutter. And if we do that, it will automatically download, accept all the licenses and things. And with that, you have downloaded everything, and you have to confirm that once more. And we run that script. It will take a second. It downloads now Flutter in the version of 2.81. And with that, you can also execute everything correctly as you know it before. So you don't have to set up system variables. You only have maybe to introduce it to Android Studio. And with that, you have an alternative path to install Flutter on your machine. So after the installation, you can see that the environment variables have been changed and you have to restart PowerShell in order to run it with it. But even though this is a very convenient way to install packages like Flutter, I would like to recommend you to say first install it correctly, because you learn a lot of things like system environments, which is not necessarily only important for Flutter, but will also be important for other programming languages if you want to go for Java or others. Package managers are a very convenient way, but it takes you a lot of knowledge away. So think about it before you use it. Great stuff. Do you know which moment it is right now? It's the moment where you can hit the like button, subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. As you know, that helps us tons. Also, it would be amazing if you can check out our Patreon page that we have created down in the video description, so you can support our channel even more. Thanks for all your support and thanks for being here. And now back to the video. All right, so from now on, we want to start with Flutter Doctor. If we have installed everything correctly, now it's downloading all the different parts and shows us after that and analyzes if Flutter is correctly installed on your machine. And as you can see, because it's a complete clear machine, we see that Flutter is installed, that is fine. Now we see that there is an Android toolchain and there is something missing. We need Android Studio. And if the Android SDK has been installed in a custom location, then we can do something else. Unfortunately, I have not installed the Android SDK, and we will install Android Studio for that in the next step. Also, if we would like to work in the web, Chrome is not installed yet because we use Edge for that, and Android Studio is not installed. All right, so how do we install now Android Studio? All right, so Android Studio we receive if we go to developer.android.com. Here we can download Android Studio, reading the terms and conditions, and if you agree, you press that and download the whole thing. After the download, we will see further. As you can see, it takes a second. So after the download, if I open up the file, we get the start with the downloader and installer. We accept everything, and now we press next, next, and here we choose a folder of our choice. We have that in cdev, right? So this PC, cdev, and of course we want to have it on /Android Studio, and with that we go next, and we do not, I create shortcuts, why not? And let's go install. Okay, we see us after the installation process. All right, now we press next and start up Android Studio. This can take a second depending on your machine. We say here do not import. And now what happens is it downloads all the things that you need to work with the Android SDK. So I do not send information to Google at the moment. We don't need this upgrade. And we press next. The standard, we take the dark theme, and here you can see now everything that it downloads, like the Android emulator, the SDK, and everything that it needs. So if we press finish, it starts to download these information, and you will need it if you want to work on an Android device. We see us after the download. So after everything is successfully installed, we can start the whole thing, and then we navigate to plugins because we want to work with Flutter. So just to make sure that everything is installed that we need, we press here accept because it also installs Dart. And with that, we have to restart the IDE. And if we are now lucky and everything has worked perfectly fine, which I expect, we are able to install a Flutter project. So you see, we have now the button new Flutter project. We can press that. And with that, we can start here. If we press Flutter and choose the SDK path, it's not here yet, but if we go to cdev Flutter bin, now we should be able to see everything working. Not found at that location. Okay, maybe I have to, just remove the bin and go to next. Here we can choose our first project name. As you can see, it changes also the project location. We can give a description, the organization, in our case, Dev Flutter explained. And now with all that, we can press on finish. And now the project in the background is getting created. Of course, you can now use also the command, the terminal if you want to start your first project. Okay, so we get now the Flutter boilerplate here. So this we can start now, and as you can see in a second, if everything has loaded, we can see the devices up here. Now, at the moment, we don't have an Android device. So you will have to press on the AVD manager on top right here. It looks like a little phone with an Android icon. If you press on that, you can get the message create virtual device, which we will do. We choose just one phone. I use now here one with a Play Store installed. You can press next. You download your system image for the phone. I take here R, but that could be newer or older, depending on what your use case is. Press next. Now it downloads again 1 GB for the whole Android device and everything. So we will see us after the download. Good. After the download, we can now choose the R, give the AVD a name, Android Virtual Device, by the way, and press finish. Now, if we press that button, we start up the device. So let's do that. So as soon as the startup device has been started up, you can also choose up here the green arrow, which then starts your Flutter application already. We wait a second and I will show you that it worked. Great. So after a while, and don't worry, the first time takes the longest. So as soon as you have done it the first time, it's going faster for every other app. And also if you make hot reload, it's immediately working, right? So the app is working and we can work on Android. Fine. So we have installed Flutter, we work on Android. Next step is how can we let that thing run on Windows devices? So instead of having here an Android device, we want to let it run as a Windows application. But before we start with installing for Windows, let's have a look first again on the Android toolchain. As you can see, there are two things that are still important. First of all, we need the CMD tools latest. And the other thing is that we still have to accept all the Android licenses. For that, we can just execute that command. So Flutter Doctor Android licenses. I will just copy it down here and remove the prim and start the whole thing. And in order to get rid of that first problem that we saw on Flutter Doctor, here CMD line tools is missing, we go back to Android Studio, choose again the AVD manager. No, not the AVD manager. Next to the AVD manager, you will find the SDK manager. If you open up that one, you can go to SDK tools and find as the third Android SDK command line tools latest. You select that one, apply and install it. After the installation, we can say OK. And don't forget to restart. I don't even know if we have to restart the command line. No, works. So after we have installed it, we can see now one error less. And the other one is Flutter Doctor Android licenses. So let's see if we can execute that. And here we see now, because the SDK manager is now found, the tools are found, we can accept all these licenses. So, and they are quite some. So, and with that, Flutter Doctor should be clean now. Okay, but now how can we set up it for Windows? How can we create a Windows application? First, we have to execute Flutter config. If we do that, we get a lot of information, but what we are looking for is enable Windows desktop. We copy that over, and now we say Flutter config, and we add -- enable Windows desktop. So now it's setting the value to true, and if we say now Flutter Doctor again, it will tell us now information what we need to do in order to develop for Windows. We have to install Visual Studio, which is currently not installed. The link is here or down in the video description. And we have to install desktop development with C++ and all including components. So let's do that next. So we head over to the browser, enter the address, and here we find now these things. We take the community version here, and now it starts to download. We open it up. Continue. So this will take probably a while. Getting the installer ready. Go. All right. So here we have desktop development with C++, and we have to install most of it. But what is important that you select down here one of the Windows SDKs. For me, it will be Windows 11 SDK. So, and with that, we press on install, and as you see, it's quite large with 14 GB, so please make sure that you have enough space on your machine. So I will wait until everything is downloaded, and we will talk after that. So after the installation, you will be asked to make a restart. Let's do that. So, and now we start our PowerShell again. And if we run Flutter Doctor, we will see now that it is installed correctly. And in the meantime, I can open up also Android Studio again, because as you see, now here's the green tick. We have that running. And if we open up our project now, we can see on top of the devices, we would see also the possibility to start it in Windows. So let's see if I'm correct here. So we can see the main.dart, the devices get it loaded, and if we open up that one, no device, here. Now we have Windows Desktop. And if we press on the play button, it will start everything up. But as you can see, we don't have the Windows folder yet. So what we have to do in order to make that possible, we go to the terminal, and inside of our project, we call flutter.create. And make execution. What happens now inside of this folder where we are? It starts to install everything that we need in order to run it on Windows. So if I click now here, you will see that there is a Windows folder newly created. And this is important in order to start Flutter, because else you get this error message which says that there is no Windows configured for this project. All right, if you would like to start now, nothing would happen. The reason is there is an closed merge request that has been happened 23 days ago, of course. So it's pretty new. So we have to switch to the beta channel for Flutter to make it run. For that, we go here, Flutter channel beta. And if we now upgrade to the newest version, then it should work fine because it couldn't understand the new version of Flutter Studio Community 22. So with that update, it will work, hopefully. So Flutter upgrade. And this can take a while again. Probably if you are doing this later this year, it will automatically work because then the newest version of Flutter will be already integrating this feature. All right, so if we would start now Windows Desktop right away, it would not work because first we have to say Flutter clean in order to remove everything that has been tried to be built in beforehand. So now that this is done, we can try to run the application again. And now, with a piece of luck, it will understand everything, building the Windows application, and everything would work smoothly. So give me 1 second and we will see if the application has started. All right, and with that, we see our application running. We can make it smooth. The buttons are working. Fantastic. And we can start to develop in Windows applications and can release them as soon as we want to. Perfect. All right, now you know how to install Flutter, how set up the system environment so everything can run inside of PowerShell. We were capable to also have a shortcut to install Flutter itself. Then we have installed Visual Studio, we have installed Android Studio, and your machine should now be ready to start developing in Flutter. Enjoy the journey from here on. Hit the like button if you haven't, subscribe to our channel. Until the next time, thanks for watching.